All right, hi everyone. My name's Tag. I'm the founder and CEO of GridCure. At GridCure, we provide software as a service analytics, not to the homeowner, but to the utility itself. So we're able to come to a utility and do things like figure out who's stealing power on the network, figure out where you should put charging stations for all those electric cars, and even things like where's the power going to go out next month. And this is because the average utility in the US right now, and more interestingly, globally, is sitting on somewhere between 1,000 and 100,000 more times more data flooding off their network back to their servers every single day as compared to just 5 or 6 years ago. So utilities are very good at doing what they do, but I would suggest that most utilities don't have machine learning experts and people who know Hadoop and be able to do distributed computing on a big basis, but we do. And so we're able to come and help utilities really move this whole concept of smart grid forward. We've had fantastic traction thus far. We were batch 12 at 500 startups in San Francisco. We're on on 1 million meters across the US worth of utility. Got 14 million more meters of utilities in the US as well as overseas in our pipeline right now that we're piloting with. And we are extremely happy to share that we have a sales channel relationship with Burns & McDonnell. They're the #1 ranked utility engineering firm here in the US. When we reach out into the marketplace and ask people what they think about this type of technology or how they would respond to it, 64% of utility executives say, we have way more data that we can use, we want to do better, we're actively looking for a solution, and these same utility executives have already budgeted. I will repeat, they have already allocated money for exactly our style of software over the next 5 years to the tune of just shy of $5 billion. Got a fantastic team coming from the utility space like me. Kim, our head of analytics, is a globally ranked machine learning expert, and there are quite literally 14 people in the world who can do what she does. Emily has multiple startup exits and is a rock star based out of San Francisco, and Zach has done design UI UX work for big groups like Shaw Media and Canada Post. When we start looking at other markets that are really interested in smart grid, smart city stuff, looking at China, recently allocated $300 billion, Brazil, India with their smart cities initiative, we're talking about something that approaches a $400 billion global market, and we look to be the ones to really add intelligence to the grid. Thank you so much.
All right, questions for Tag.
Question on, you had mentioned about a smart placement of electric vehicle charging stations. High level, what is your methodology and what kind of data do you need to be able to pinpoint those locations?
Yeah, so biggest things we need for placing something like a smart charging station is we need local assets, so are things sized correctly to move power to something like that? For those in the audience who don't know the power space, plugging a Tesla into charge is like plugging a house into a house. Plugging something into charge at a supercharging station is like plugging 43 houses into a house. It is very stressful for the local assets. So we need to know what's on the network. We also look very closely at where those electric cars are moving throughout the day. So it turns out it's pretty simple to see what an electric car does throughout the day as it's moving around. Is it at somebody's house? We see a big spike in their load profile. So we can sort of watch where cars are moving and then be able to understand, based on what's currently on the grid, where we should put something with the least amount of impact to those local assets.
What is the biggest challenge that you're facing at this point?
Yeah, one of the big challenges is that utilities, for a very good reason, are slow to adopt new technologies. They have very high reliability standards. You can't hit the restart button on your power company, right, like you would for your laptop. So we need to make sure that when we come and we talk to utilities, we're able to demonstrate that not only does our software work extremely reliably, but also things around data security, data privacy are also bulletproof and are taking medical or sort of NSA grade standards with regards to how we actually move data around.
How long does that take you to implement a solution with the utility, both in your estimate and then do you have what's your actual experience with that?
Yeah, so we've been able to go from the standard ballpark in the utility industry is a 12 to 18 month sales cycle. We've been able to pull that down to 6 to 8 months, so we're pretty stoked about that. That's US sales. And also reaching into overseas utilities. So we've got a project in Jordan, Brazil, and more recently India. Those were cycles we thought were going to take years. We've actually been able to get pilots started in sub 4 months.
So once you make the sale, how long does it take to get a deployment up and running?
Yeah, so we can be deployed. So we like to say it takes us about a month to get all of our connections to the relevant data stores in the utility. So we don't need any new sensors on the network. We don't need any new servers. Just tell us where your data is. And then once we got that data flowing, there's a little bit of tuning of the algorithms, so it's specific to that particular utility, and that takes us 2 to 3 weeks. So call it a 6-week to 8-week project.
You talked about your platform can detect outages. Do you have any metrics around improving reliability and how utility looks at it as duration and frequency or SAIDI and safety?
Yeah, SAIDI safety is a big ROI driver for us. So great example, we have a 20x improvement on when feeder cables die. We can predict when a feeder cable is going to go out. So that has huge impact to SAIDI scores because feeders affect many houses, right? If a feeder cable goes down, that could be neighborhoods down. So yes, that is a big part of our ROI.
Thank you, Tag.